Now that we know how to add and subtract radicals, we're now going to move on to multiplying radicals. So letter F, we're first going to start with the square root of 5 times the square root of 3 minus the square root of 75. Now, once again, there's a couple of different ways to do this. If you figure out a different way to do it that you like better, be my guest. But this is the way I'm going to go about it. First of all, when you are multiplying, you need to keep in mind insides with insides, outsides with outsides. Now, what I mean by that is when you're multiplying, we're going to take the square root of 5 and we're going to distribute it, and we're first going to multiply it by the square root of 3. Well, 5 is on the inside of the root, 3 is on the inside of the root, so we can multiply insides with insides. So square root of 5 times square root of 3, square root of 15. Minus, we're going to multiply square root of 5 by the square root of 75. Again, 5 is on the inside of the root, 75 is on the inside of the root. So 5 times 75 is 375. So that's the square root of 375. At this point in time, I'm kind of wondering if anything will simplify so that we could maybe add them or subtract them. If I look at 15, that's going to break down into 5 times 3. It doesn't have any partners, so we can't do anything with that. Now, 375, if you're looking at that going, that's a really, really big number. Yeah, but remember what you actually multiplied together to get it? You multiplied a 5 and a 75. So don't overthink this. 5 times 75. 5's prime. Now we just have to focus on 75. So 75 is 25 times 3. 25 is 5 times 5. Can't use the 25, can't use the 75, and we're looking for groups of 2. So group of 2, I've got a 5 and a 5. So 5 gets out, the other one disappears. Then I still have a 5 and a 3, and they don't have a partner, so they both go back inside. If they're both inside, we're going to multiply them together. So we're going to have 5 times the square root of 15. And then if we remember, there was a minus up here, so this is really minus 5 times the square root of 15. And then I'm going to bring this guy down, which is the square root of 15. Now that we have that, those are like terms. Keep in mind, square root of 15, there's really a 1. So 1 of those minus 5 of those. So you have 1, you're taking 5 away, is negative 4 of those. So your final answer is negative 4 times the square root of 15. Letter C. Square root of 3 times the quantity 8 root 2 plus 7 root 32. Same idea, we're going to distribute. Now, this is your first term. It comes together, you can't separate it. This is your second term. It comes together, you can't separate it. And then this is what you're distributing, and you're going to distribute it to that one and then to that one. So when you see 8 root 2, it's not like an 8 and then a root 2. It's all together. Okay, so like if you're doing like 3x and you're multiplying it by x plus 7, you don't do 3 and then do x. It's just 3x times x. You do it all at once. There's the coefficient and then there's the x. So over here, there's the coefficient and then the root. Now, this is where it comes into play where I said insides with insides, outsides with outsides. If I multiply this root 3 by this 8 root 2, root 3 is on the inside. 2 is on the inside. So I can multiply the 3 with the 2, and that's going to get me a root 6. But what about the 8? He's on the outside. So you have to leave him on the outside. And really what's happening is he's being multiplied by the 1 here that you can't see. So 8 root 6. Now we're going to distribute the root 3 to the 7 root 32. So plus, and again, inside, inside. So we're going to take 3 times 32, which is 96. And then the 7 is on the outside, so we leave him on the outside. Okay, from there, we're going to try to simplify because a root 6 and a root 96 are definitely not like terms. If I try 6, I've got 2 times 3. Yeah, nothing's going to happen there, so leave him alone. 96, again, that's a really big number, but remember, you got it from multiplying a 3 and a 32. So I'm going to go with 3 and 32. 32 is 8 times 4. 8 is 2 times 4. 4 is 2 times 2. And 4 is 2 times 2. And then I can't use the 4, I can't use the 4, I can't use the 8, I can't use the 32. So I'm looking for groups of 2. So I'm going to do these guys. This guy gets out. That guy doesn't make it. I'm going to do these. This guy gets out. That guy doesn't make it. Then I'm going to say, okay, well, I still have a 3 and a 2. So they're going to go back inside. And then on this one, there's one more thing we need to consider. And it's this guy. He was already outside to begin with, so you need to keep him on the outside. Ultimately, 7 times 2 is 14. 14 times 2 is 28 times the square root of 6. And then this is being added to 8 times the square root of 6. Now we have like terms. So 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36 times the square root of 6. And we're done. Letter G. Okay, letter G, we are not just flat out distributing anymore. This is a binomial times a binomial. So now we have to FOIL or distribute more. So that's a term, that's a term, that's a term, that's a term. We're going to keep this guy all together. I'm going to start with the 5, and I'm going to do my firsts. 5 times 3, 15. That's just regular multiplication. 5 times negative 4 root 2. I've got a negative 4, I've got a root 2. 5 is on the outside, so we multiply it by the outside. So 5 times negative 4 is negative 20, and then keep the root 2. He just kind of comes along. Next one, we're going to multiply by the root 2. Root 2 times 3. Root 2 is on the inside, 3 is on the outside. You cannot multiply an inside with an outside, so you just write it as 3 times the square root of 2. Then we're going to take root 2 times negative 4 root 2. Inside, inside. So we keep the negative 4, and then we take 2 times 2, and we get 4. From here, we move on. So the first thing I'm looking at is I'm going, oh, look at this, look at this, look at this. These guys are already like terms. So negative 20 root 2's plus 3 root 2's is negative 17 root 2's. The next thing I'm going to look at is I'm going to look at the square root of 4. Isn't the square root of 4 2? Which you don't really have to do the tree here. It's just the square root of 4 is 2. So if this is 2, negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. So this whole thing just turned into negative 8. And then up here, I've got a 15. Then I'm going to look at this one more time. And I'm going to go, oh, look, 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 look. 15 minus 8. 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7. Minus 17 root 2. And then this is actually a final answer. But a lot of kids will try to take 7 minus 17. You can't do that, okay? 17 has a root 2 on it. That's like trying to do 7 minus 17x. They're not like terms. You can't put them together, okay? This guy has a root 2. Leave it alone. So that's as far as you can go. Last but not least, letter D. We have the quantity 2 root 5 minus 4 squared. Do you remember how to deal with a quantity squared, especially when we're subtracting? And please don't tell me to distribute that too. You can't do that. The reason is because there's a minus sign in here, so we have to write it twice. So we're going to do 2 root 5 minus 4 times 2 root 5 minus 4. Now again, there's a lot going on here. It's kind of hard to see. So sometimes I tell you guys to like box it. You're going to take this thing, and then you're going to take this thing, and then you're going to take this thing, and then you're going to take this thing. And I tell you to box them. That way, you can say, okay, I'm taking that box times that box, because otherwise there's a lot going on and we tend to drop things. So I'm going to take my first box times my first box. Outsides, 2 times 2 is 4. Insides, 5 times 5 is 25. Next one, 2 root 5 times negative 4 is going to be a negative. Outsides, 2 and 4, 8. Inside, I just have a root 5. Then I'm going to take my negative 4 times my 2 root 5. So outsides, negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. Inside, I just have a root 5. And then last, negative 4 times negative 4 is positive 16. First thing I'm looking at, negative 8 root 5, negative 8 root 5. Those are already like terms. Negative 8 plus negative 8 is negative 16 root 5. Then I can just drop down my plus 16. And then I'm looking at the square root of 25. The square root of 25 is 5. So this is 4 times 5. That's 20. Then I look at that once again, and I say, okay, 20 plus 16 is 36. Drop down your minus 16 root 5. Do not subtract 36 and 16 because they are not like terms. And you're done.